So Davey, when you won the Grand National, 40 runners, and now things are changing. But I suppose things have to change, do they?
Yeah, racing itself is changing, and look, the world is evolving as it goes along. I think the drop is substantial. I'm not quite sure it was necessary for that big a drop, but at the same time, anything that is a positive for the race is a positive for us as an industry. We keep moving and we keep changing. I do think it'll be a different feel without the 40. Drop down to 34. With 6 less horses is quite a drop. I don't think it'll make it any easier. I think it's still a huge test of both rider and horse. The fences are that little bit softer. I was always, when you got a fall in the Grand National, in the old Grand National, you got a hell of a fall. There was no soft falls. When I won on Tiger Roll, there was 38 horses heading out in the second, 38 or 39 horses heading out in the second circuit. So there are more horses heading out on the second circuit than there ever have been. You still will have to have your wits about you. It's a lot of runners. It'll be the most amount of runners in any race in between England and Ireland anyway. And so it's still a huge test. It'll take a very, very, very good horse and a very, very capable rider to win a Grand National, no matter what the circumstances are.
It is undoubtedly the biggest test for a jump jockey and horse throughout our calendar year. The start obviously now has been moved closer to the first fence. Do you see that as a good thing? And what change would you have as a rider? Would that change your your outset look on the race as to how you want to be positioned at the first fence? How do you see that panning out with a shorter run to the first?
Yeah, so I enjoy a shorter run to the first. I think the big long gallop down
because the horses gather too much speed.
Yes.
As a rider, the last thing you want as a rider is a horse to be coming out on his head to be going low, and just to be almost charging on you.
Exactly. It's a big day. There's a lot going on. So horses will have a little bit more energy in them than normal on a normal circumstances. So with the shorter run, they'll have to pay more attention to what's, it'll happen faster. The fence they'll be upon the first fence an awful lot quicker. What I would feel is that I think it's very important, and we spoke about it earlier, that you have nothing in front of you. Now, I broke that rule on my last chance to win a Grand National in Galvin. I went down to the first and I had a horse directly in front of me, and my horse didn't see the first. Now, he didn't fall, but he made a very bad mistake, enough for me to get unseated. So that is the rule that I would abide by, that wherever your position. Now, I used to go along that you had to go down the inside. You had to be on the inside at the canal turn. You had to be on the inside for Fine Avon and all that rigmarole. I threw that all out the window the year I won on Tiger Roll. I went down the middle. I actually got the position. When I got to the start, you have to be happy. You get a feeling, and it's all feeling that riders operate off. So I got a feeling that this was the position I was happiest in. I wasn't directly in front, but I had nothing blocking my view of the fence.
Just talking about that start there, you chucked that out the window. You said about how I had to be here, I had to be there. I was on my first few rides very naive, I suppose, to think, you're trying to, challenge in a Grand National, and you just want to win the Grand National, and without much thought, maybe process going in. But a very famous Ruby Walsh told me he always had a bit of a thing in his head that he'd line up where the least horses were to give him the least chance of getting brought down.
Yeah.
So if there was 20 on the inner, 20 in, or 15 in the middle, and not so many on the outside, he'd line up a bit wider because it gave him a less chance of getting brought down.
Yeah, and again, to try and think about what's going to happen at the canal turn, you're thinking way too far ahead of yourself. I think in a Grand National you have to take it step by step. I think the most important thing at the start is you get the start right and you get the first fence right, and after that you must then use your brain after that. You must have a horse that can use his brain after that, and that's just the manner of the race. So to feel that if you're lining up on the inside because you want to be on the inside at the Beecher's Brook or the Canal Turn, you're thinking too far ahead of yourself.
Fence by fence.
Fence by fence. Start the first fence. After that, you have enough experience, you have enough wisdom on riding horses. You know the horse you're riding better than anybody else, and you'll be able to figure it out between the two of you.
You always hear it in racing. You can't win the race at the start, but you certainly can lose it. Neptune Collonges. I'm very close to the owners. I had quite a bit of a connection at Paul Nichols's when I was riding there. He jumped the last three the first three fences in last position.
And
so
Derek Fox the same on One for Arthur.
So really, you know, you said 39 horses went out on the second circuit. Surely then that first circuit is all about just getting round.
It's all about you.
Rather than the position you're really in. If you can survive the first circuit, then you can maybe pick your way through.
Again, it's all about being happy. It's all about being happy, and you must remember, if you're not happy jumping the second, it's too late. Your cards are dealt at that stage. You must ride your race according to that circumstance. And that's the beauty about being a top-end jockey, a champion jockey like yourself. You change, circumstances change, things change, and you adapt to them changes, but you must do it in split seconds. And unknowns to yourself, you're doing these things. You can't think about them, they just happen naturally, and you're a natural kind of a rider anyway. So, and a lot of the riders out there are natural riders, and all them changes as they go along. But what I would say is that jump out in the position you intend on jumping out in. If that doesn't work, don't try and change it aggressively. It won't work. You must adapt to the situation. And also another thing is with the fences, it's a different type of riding. You can go down to a park fence and give a horse a squeeze and he'll react to your instructions. Horses don't automatically react to your instructions over the Aintree fences. They must feel secure underneath you. So for me, it's all about staying within the zone of spot on, a little bit long or a little bit short, but anything of an extreme is very hard to, so if you're going for big massive jumps over these fences, you need an extremely brave horse, and you need to know your horse, and you need to know your horse's limits. And I think that's the most important thing with riders, that they understand their horses and they understand the horse's limits to where they can ask them to jump and how much they can ask them for during the race.
And as a rider, really, I think, would you say that in the Aintree Grand National, over those fences, you know, those fences are coming at you. Let the fence come to you.
Exactly.
My dad always said, Harry, the fence is coming to you. Just let the fence come to you. So it'll help you find a little bit of a better rhythm.
Exactly.
Rather than taking your horse out of its comfort zone, getting it on its head, then you're not doing the right things really. So get a good start, find yourself a bit of room and let the fence come to you.
And most importantly, it's like a day's hunting. You must enjoy yourself. You must jump out when the tapes go back that you're going around with a smile on your face. It's very, very important, and I think that will transfer to your horse, and I think once you're enjoying it, the horse will enjoy it. And that to me is the big, and expect nothing to receive everything. That to me is the way I approached it when I won it. I didn't expect to get past the first. I ended up in the winner's enclosure. It's just, there's no rules, no laws, but the one most important thing is that you're very happy, both horse and rider are happy, in sync going around.